Okay, anyways, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, let's do it like this. Welcome to The Story. This is my podcast section of my YouTube channel where we just have a conversation with an influencer, photographer, business owner, and I'm glad to have my friend Tim Brunauer here today. He is a photographer from Windhoek, Namibia, and also a business owner. He owns, or his partner, of Nikor. So yeah, Tim, just introduce yourself, let us know who you are and what you do.
Cool. Thanks for having me here on the show, Emilio. Really appreciate it. Really excited to be part of this podcast. So, yeah, like you introduced me, my name is Tim Brunauer. I'm a photographer from Windhoek. I started being a photographer right after school, and since then I started a small social media agency together with my partner Benny, and it's called Nikkor. You may or may not have heard of it. Go check us out. And yeah, so that's basically who I am, what I do.
Sweet.
And I think we've been working together for a while now, so that's how we know each other.
Yeah, a funny story actually. Tom claims he's met me before that, but I remember in 2018, I was at my friend's house, and Tom was also there. He stayed over, and I actually told him then I want to become a photographer, which was funny because I never had a camera, and I had my iPhone 6. So I was like, okay, cool, let me do some phone photography, let me talk to Tom a bit. And then he showed me, by the time I had some photos taken of rustic cars somewhere in a small town in Windhoek with the phone. So I asked him, okay, how would you edit this? He showed me and all that. But like, he doesn't know, but I was actually inspired to push on with the photography. But still, like I said, I never had a camera, and I got my camera, and of course Tim also saw I was doing photography. He hit me up, and that's how we started working together. That was around 2019. So yeah, we've been working together, we've been good friends since then. So yeah, it's actually great to have you here. And also another question I wanted to ask, just to get into the video. When did you realize you want to do photography? And also, did you do photography in school, like you said earlier now? What grade did you exactly do it in?
Okay, cool. So, first of all, I knew quite early on that I really liked photography. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of it as a business avenue initially, but I started off with photography when I was very young because my parents traveled a lot in Namibia. We went camping, we did a lot of trips like that, and they always had a camera along. So I'd often shoot. My love for landscapes came from that, and that's really where I started with my photography. Yeah. And then in grade 11, I found out that I can do photography as part of the art curriculum. So I decided to take photography for art class, and that's really where I started now trying to expand my knowledge about photography and really get good. And just before grade 11, because I knew this was coming up, we had a long holiday in grade 10. And so what I did is I contacted all the photography studios around Namibia and asked if I could work there during the holiday. And the first one to reply was Studio 77, which was run by Tony Figueira. And he was a very well-known photographer in Windhoek, and he came from a journalistic background. So in any case, they invited me to come. I worked there for the holiday, and then I enjoyed it so much I asked them whether the next year I could carry on working there after school. And I did that. So when I was doing art at school in grade 11, I was also in the afternoons working at the photography studio. So that's how I started out. And since then it kind of just, my love for photography grew. I really enjoyed it. I started also to see the business concept behind that, working with Tony, because he wasn't just a photographer, but he was a business owner. He ran a studio, he had designers. So he really inspired me there. And since then I haven't really slowed down or stopped.
Okay, cool. I actually never had heard the full story from you, so this is the first time. It's actually very cool. It's cool how you then did photography in school, because I remember also I always wanted to be a photographer, or not be, but I wanted to do photography in school. So I never had that opportunity, and hearing that you could get that opportunity and also succeed into it was also nice to see then. I understand that Tony is a Figueiro. Yeah, Tony Figueiro actually passed away, but that was recent, right?
Yeah, that was well, it's not that recent. I believe it was 2017.
2017, but by that time, how long were you working for him?
So that was the year after I finished school. So I finished school in 2016, and I carried on working for him and with him during that period after I finished school. and I was assisting him with some of his own clients.
Okay.
But yeah, then he unfortunately passed away quite soon after that, and it was due to personal illness.
Yeah.
And sadly, since then, I then started freelancing. So
Okay.
that's how I was almost not quite forced, but I had to start doing photography on my own.
Yeah, you're in the position now to actually push on your own. And how was it then? How was it? Having the knowledge and the experience you learned from Tony, how was it getting jobs in the future?
Oh, it was tough. I think the big thing that I struggled with was actually approaching clients. As somebody who is just starting out, you have no clients.
Yeah.
You literally have to go and find people. Whether that's through emails, phoning them, actually going to see them at their businesses. That was really tough for me because personally I am more of an introverted person. I think running business has helped me to become more extroverted when I'm actually speaking with people and I go pitch ideas, whatever the case may be, because you have to be excited also to get them on board. But personally I struggled with it, so I think that was the most difficult. And then also staying motivated when work wasn't coming in, because you know, you have weeks, sometimes even a month where things are quiet. You might be shooting yourself and doing some personal work, but all of your efforts to try and get actual paying work is not working out for you that month. So that can really bring you down and slow you down. So I think that was the most difficult aspect.
I see. And I'm understanding also you're academically good with school, so you had good marks, but you didn't want to do the 9 to 5. Why was that?
Wow. So yes, I had pretty good marks. I could also have gone for, you know, tertiary education if I'd wanted to, but I think it was just as much as a challenge for me to start a business as to go to university. And I liked the idea of starting to work immediately, because in school I always felt frustrated, especially in grade 11 and 12. I felt like, you know, everything I was learning then wasn't really going to contribute towards my work, so to say, going forward. And I think having gone to university would have just slowed me down more, to the extent where, you know, another 3-4 years I'd have to be learning, still not really working. I might have been able to have like a side hustle, but I wouldn't have been properly, you know, up and running for a while still. So I like the idea of being able to start working, earning a living as soon as I got out of school, and I enjoyed that challenge. So I think that is the reason why. And then obviously I like the idea of the flexibility that running your own business, being your own boss had, and that came with it. Whereas like a 9 to 5 is very much, you know, you're stuck at a desk, doesn't matter how busy you are, and you have to answer to the person. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's very good, especially for some people who need that kind of structure in their life. And I also think had I done that, I would have learned a lot of valuable experience, which would have helped me later on in my own business, which I then had to actually find out through trial and error, which is not always the best way. But I think I'm not unhappy, or I don't regret the decision I made with starting off with work right after school.
I can just imagine you now going back to 9 to 5 would never work. Or not going back, but going into a 9 to 5 now would probably not be ideal for you. I remember watching a podcast also where you were in, and you said that not starting a business, but there were parts where you thought, maybe you should get a 9 to 5. Now, seeing where you started and where you are now, would you go back to a 9, or would you go to a 9 to 5?
Right now?
Or like if you're in a position now where you're like, flip, maybe I should then just get a 9 to 5. Would you ever have that?
Look, I think something that one has to learn, being in this industry, and I think in life generally, you have to stay humble. So should I ever be in that position, I don't want to say I will say no to a 9 to 5, because I think at the end of the day, I'm a married man, I've got a family to support. So if I have to support a family and business is bad and it means getting a 9 to 5, I would do that. Would I find it difficult? Yes. I think running your own business for so long gets you to a point where working for somebody else will be challenging. And especially if you have your own ideas and you're used to driving things forward yourself, I think that would become difficult. but I would never say completely ruling out a 9 to 5. But at the end of the day, I think just to simply answer your question, I would prefer not to.
Okay, cool. Now I get you. All right, now we have an idea of who you are, what you're doing, and how you work with how you go about things. Let's talk about your photography. When you started photography, what you said you started getting the love for landscape. Was landscape the first thing you actually loved doing, or did you also like taking pictures of people and so on? Like I like lifestyle stuff where I take pictures of people and so on. So what did you love doing? Because I understand being in Namibia, you're in a position where you have to make money, so you have to do the work that you're not really happy to do, you know. But on the other hand, you also have stuff you really like doing. So what was it that you really like doing?
I think if I could pack up my bags today and just do landscape photography and get excited about it, I would.
Okay.
That is really where my love of photography started. So unlike you, I had to really learn to love taking photos of people.
Okay.
Whereas landscapes I immediately like. I just love being out there. You know, we live in such a beautiful country. I think, you know, thousands of tourists come here every year just to photograph our beautiful landscapes. So that really touched me.
Okay.
And that's really where my love for photography started. Capturing these epic landscapes. But obviously in Namibia that doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately. And also as a platform to reach out to, you know, the big organizations that perhaps, you know, hire photographers to shoot landscapes for them to capture epic places. That platform isn't really available here in Namibia. You'd have to go outside of the country to actually attract the attention of those kind of organizations. And so because of that, I had to change my outlook a bit. But yeah, landscapes is really my true love.
Okay.
People pay the bills, but
Pay the bills.
landscapes.
I remember again, I like referring back to when I also started. So I remember a time when I lived in Usakos. It's a small town in Namibia. I worked on a construction site where, I was foremanning and I was also taking pictures. That's when I started photography. So I started taking pictures of like the construction workers and the construction stuff, the objects and so on. And then I remember you telling me, you know, see if you can take pictures of people. That's where the money is. And looking back and also seeing the advice, I was like, okay, that actually worked. Because I started taking pictures of people, you know, and doing work, and I'm booking weddings and so on. So I can just see, okay, that was good advice, and I'm really enjoying taking pictures of people. It's just something I love now. So yeah, it was very nice to hear from that. But also cool that you want to do landscape, you know. Everyone wants to. There's a side of everyone where people want to do landscape. I also want to do landscape. So I will see how the year goes. Maybe I'll also get some landscape stuff done. But talking more again, like I said, talking about your photography, starting with, what is your most memorable photo you've taken? Yeah, let's say that.
Sure. I don't think I have a most memorable photo, but recently I had an amazing opportunity, I think, going back to landscapes. So there I had a really amazing opportunity to travel out to Sossusvlei just after it rained. And it's almost unheard of to see water in the Vlei area, and it had just Namibia had just had its really good rain after a long period of drought. And there was actually like these big dams of water in the Sossusvlei. So that was really amazing, and my wife and I went on a trip there. So we made it a mission to get up super early to try and capture sunrise at the Vlei. We hadn't seen it at all yet, but we had an idea of where we were going. So if you know about Sossusvlei and camping there, it's kind of not right at the campsite. You have to drive quite a distance to get to the Sossusvlei area. And if you want to make sunrise, you have to get up super early. So we were up by, I think, 5 o'clock.
Shucks.
Hopped in the car and drove through to Sossusvlei. So Sossusvlei has two parts. It has Dead Vlei and it has Sossusvlei. And there's this big dune next to Dead Vlei. So we got there, we just made it in time, and I thought, okay, we were looking for the water. We weren't really seeing it, you know, right there in front of us. Around us, we had seen puddles driving there. But so we took a chance. We walked in Dead Vlei's direction and we hiked up the dune. So there, I must say, like, it really paid off. And we got there, I think there was one other couple with us, a Swiss couple, and they came out later. So they first went into dead play. So we were the first people to actually see this huge body of water between the dunes. And the sun had just come up, and we were kind of like camping on top of the dune, waiting for the right light. And the clouds were there in the sky as well. It was just like, I think it was like a really special photo. So that's one that I always remember, and I really, like, I enjoyed taking that photo, and every time I see it I was like, that's a cool memory. So I think recently that's something quite special, because again, it's something unique that happens in our desert very, very seldom. And it was just an epic experience.
Nice, man, nice. I see you airdropping the photo, but listening to how you describe the photo, it actually, like, even it sounds better than it looks. So looking at the photo now, I'm just like, wow, the sunrise, the reflections on the water puddles, it just looks nice. And then I remember you also, we spoke earlier, and you also told me you have another photo that you took on a campaign you worked on.
Yes.
So tell me more about that photo, and also how old were you when you were busy with that campaign?
Okay, cool. So that campaign was kind of special for me, because the first time I was booked by a advertising agency. They were called Advantage Y&R back then. They're now called Advantage Advertising. And it was the first time they'd booked me for an actual campaign job. So they'd booked me previously for some of their clients. It was more corporate work. But this was like kind of a big deal for me, because they decided to use me for a campaign, and it was for MTC, which is quite a big client, because it is the biggest cellular service provider in Namibia. So I remember the creative director calling me in and showing me the brief, and it was inspired by another African photographer. So I can't remember his name now, but they showed me some of his images, and they asked me, can you do something like this? And I was pretty young at the time. I am still pretty young, or I'd like to think I am. But if I have to do the math, I was 20.
20.
When
This
I
was
shot
what year?
it.
What year was it?
It was 2018.
2018. Okay.
And when I photographed it, it was, I was 20. No, it was 2019. Let me think now carefully.
You were 20 in 20.
No, it was 2019, so I was 21.
Okay, you're 21.
But so that was quite cool. Hang on, is my math correct? Anyway, I was between 20 and 21.
Okay.
And it was quite a big deal for me, because I think there was a lot of pressure on me. And it was quite a different kind of shoot, because it was a composite image that I had to deliver. And I really enjoyed the challenge. So I was very happy with the result as well. And I think that's something that really I appreciate about this image that I took. Looking back at it as well, it was like a nice stepping stone for me. And I think that helped me develop a good relationship with this advertising agency. It was a job that I was well paid for, and I think just generally it was a big success. So that's why I also like looking back at that image, and it kind of reminds me of my first big job. And that's why it's also kind of special to me, and I thought it was a pretty cool image.
No, that's world class. That's world class. The only reason why I actually asked how old you were, basically I just wanted to understand. Okay, wow, you finished school, you had these few years, and now you're working on these big campaigns. It was nice. It's nice to see how you can push on and do that. So yeah, thank you for those two images and the explanation and the story behind it. I really appreciate it. Just a few more questions. Number one being, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I feel like that's a question we all have in our minds,
Wow.
Because we all have goals to work towards, and I know you have a marketing company that you started a few years ago. So with all that being happening now,
I think I'd like to see myself, having a more mature outlook in life and being a bit more balanced, because I think currently, I'm still very much in the learning process of everything. So I'd like to think I know how everything works by then. I know that's not possible. But sometimes, you know, when you're running your business, you have to deal with certain problems and you have to look at try and find certain solutions. And I hope that I'll have more experience by then to do so.
Okay.
But I do see myself in Namibia. I think Namibia is still an amazing place to work. I would like to by then have gone to Europe as well and get a bit of a external experience when it comes to the creative industry, because I think it's good to get a wide and broadened perspective on the industry you're working in. Something that I want to also recommend to any creative is, you know, break out of your comfort zone and get out of the space that you're used to. You know, you yourself know you used to be in Walvis Bay, now you're in Windhoek.
Exactly.
That transition is good and it pushes you to new limits and try and, you know, further yourself. So I think that's why I would love to travel and kind of get some working experience outside of Namibia. So I hope to do that by then. And I think by that time, I also hope to see a creative industry in Namibia that is valued and almost respected a bit more. Because I do feel currently we do find ourselves kind of as back of mind for many businesses, people, advertising agencies even, where they do hop, skip and jump between different creatives as they see fit. And usually it's based on price rather than skill and actual standard of work delivered. And unfortunately that means that, you know, a lot of the creators in Namibia aren't being paid correctly either. The rates are being pulled down by inexperienced people entering the market. And it's not that we're trying to prevent new people to enter the creative industry, but just also to educate them better on how to do so in a professional way, and also how to not allow clients to, you know, almost bully them into lower rates, which obviously affects the more experienced people who've been in the industry for a lot longer, because that just means the whole industry gets dragged down. So I'm hoping by then that we've almost kind of gotten a group of creatives together that stand together and that can also ensure that, you know, we produce awesome work, you know, clients value the work we produce and we get booked to produce the work we're good at, not just the work that we're willing to do for a good price.
Yes, that's a good goal to have. That's a good 5-year plan. That's a good 5-year plan. And then what was my question? I forgot now. But
no, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I forgot the question now, but yeah, I wanted to still ask. I wanted to also ask about your inspiration. You know, what inspires you? Who inspires you in the photography or in the creative industry? Like everyone has a photographer they look up to. You know.
Well, I always think, you know, it's good to try and learn from somebody specific. Unfortunately, after Tony passed away, I didn't have a mentor, you know, a personal mentor, and that's something I really missed. But I do think that kind of forced me to look online a bit. There, I can't say I found a specific person that I really strive to be like, but I do think there are so many awesome creatives out there nowadays that you can look at and be inspired by, that it's almost not about a single individual, but just collectively how people are creating amazing things around the world. And I think social media plays a big role in that and having access to that, but I think I follow quite a few awesome creatives that push me to be better, to do better. And now not only in the photography industry, but also as a business person. Because you see creatives being successful, you see them actually, you know, having a good business, starting out as initially just somebody on their own. Now they have a team with them, and that kind of pushes me to be, you know, optimistic and excited about the future and being able to chase those kind of goals for myself and also for everybody who works with me. So I think I can't give you a specific person I look up to, but I think there are a lot of awesome people out there. By just seeing how they do things and not just looking at one individual, but looking at various people, gives you like a good perspective of how to proceed. And also many people being good at what they do kind of inspires you to carry on. You're not just looking at one person and you can kind of get the mindset of because of the way he specifically is, that's why he's successful and I won't be able to do that. But seeing many different people succeed at what they're doing, I think that is something that I appreciate. So, I can name a lot of photographers I really like, many you've shown me as well. So I don't think that is really, those are people that I look at and I think, wow, they're doing a great job, but I'm not going to mention any specific people that I think, he's the one that's really driving me forward, because I honestly think the case is just seeing this big group of creatives online doing amazing things. That together is what really inspires me.
That's nice. Thanks, man. Thanks. And also, thank you for your time. I know you're busy, man. Really appreciate you having you here. The story is basically, look, my thing is this. I don't like motivational quotes or being motivated or inspired by a quote. I want to be inspired by someone's story of how they've started and where they are now. So that's my thing. And I don't have the budget to document Tom's life over the years. I can only have a conversation with him. So thank you for being here, and appreciate your time. See you guys on the next one. Also, make sure to follow them on Instagram. The link will be in the description, and make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys.
Thanks, man. It's been awesome being here.
Sweet.
Cheers.
All right, cool.